Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Mod Warframe. Today we're going to be taking a look at a quick review of the Heck shotgun and the new Syndicate mod for it, Scattered Justice. Now the Heck is one of the oldest weapons in the game, with it having been introduced as a vanilla weapon on day one. Now I know I've not done a review of this weapon, but I'll just run through a few of the best parts of the weapon. The Heck is a puncture based shotgun doing 174 damage per shot, with it almost all coming in the form of puncture damage, making it the third highest damage out of all of the shotguns. It also comes with the longest range of all the shotguns, and the least damage fall off, not including the Dragoon, which doesn't have any at all. It does have a very small magazine size of just 4, however this is mitigated slightly by the fact it has the second fastest reload out of all of the shotguns. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's take a look at the new mod for the Heck, Scattered Justice. This mod can be acquired from Steel Meridian, requiring you to be the rank of Protector, which is their 4th rank, and also requires 25,000 standing with them to buy the mod. As with the Gilded Truth video I released last week, Scattered Justice has an effect which takes affinity earned and applies it to the mod, charging an ability that releases when you reach around 2,000 affinity earned. Once the weapons earn this affinity, it releases a pulse of 1000 heat damage around your frame, and also heals your frame for 25% of your maximum health. Now, although at low level, the heat damage can be devastating, and the fact that enemies affected by this are stunned for around 4 seconds, opening them up for melee, or giving yourself some breathing space in a tight situation, I'm actually missing the best thing about this mod, which is that 200% multi-shot. When you combine the multi-shot from Hell's Chamber and the one from Scattered Justice, you end up with a total of 320% multi-shot. This is absolutely insane. When you take this into account, this takes your pellet count from 9 to a tiny bit under 30, which boosts the damage output of this weapon massively. Look at the Heck, and what forma we've added and how we're going to mod. Now, we have got a whole bunch of mods that are going to remain the same on all 3 of the builds. Now, as the Heck doesn't come with any polarities as standard, we've added 3 Vs in the top here, in which we've put Point Blank for damage, Hell's Chamber for multi-shot, which we're going to combine with the multi-shot from Scattered Justice. I like putting Accelerated Blast on there because I like getting the shots off very quickly, especially onto those heavy units, and the buff to that puncture damage really does help the output of the damage of this weapon. Now we've also gone for Vicious Spread, which also increased that damage by 90%, and at the expense of increasing the spread of the weapon. Now because the spread of the weapon is already so good, that 60% really doesn't have a huge effect on it, but because we're doing so much damage anyway, even though it does, it's more effective at taking out groups of enemies. Now for our Grineer build, we're going to go with Blaze and Shell Shock to increase the damage of the weapon with the white damage of Blaze. Plus we're going to bring up radiation damage with the combination of fire and the electricity. And we're also going to go with Frigid Blast. Now if you're going to go with a 3 elemental build against Grineer, it's definitely best to put Frigid Blast on there rather than the poison, because it gets a bonus to the clone flesh of those Grineer. Now moving on to our Corpus build, we've got Shell Shock and Frigid Blast for bringing up that magnetic damage, and we've got Blaze. Now even though the shield has that reduction to the Blaze, the heat damage from Blaze, and the fleshy units don't take any extra damage from Blaze from that heat damage, the plus 60% damage still is in effect, and can really help to boost that magnetic damage that you're already doing against the shielded units. So I would put that on rather than the Toxic mod, just because of that extra damage. Now moving on to the Void units, we're going to go with Shell Shock and Toxic Barrage for corrosive damage, and then we're going to go once again with Blaze, because that heat damage does help with those units in the Void, plus obviously that 60% more damage. So the Heck has been transformed into a weapon used pretty much only for mastery, into a weapon that is insanely fun to use. Do not think that this by any means makes the Heck an endgame weapon. You're still going to be better off with the Bolter Prime or the Soma at that really high level, but for sheer insane fun, the Heck is way ahead. This mod does actually change the way I play slightly, Due to that small magazine size, I use this mainly as a heavy enemy killer, things like bombards or napalms or heavy gunners, and then combine that with either a decent melee or a bullet hosing secondary like the Twin Vipers to cut down all of the smaller units. Now, as I say in most of my videos, this is just the way that I have the weapon set up. This isn't necessarily the only build or even the quote-unquote best build for it, but this is how I feel it to be the most fun for me to use. You can always swap out things like accelerated blast for a reload mod if you so choose. Personally, I don't, because the majority of the time, like I say, I combine it with that melee for the smaller units. So I unload a clip into the heavy units and then close in to mop up everything else. Now, the Heck was a weapon that way back when it came out was insanely good, but it was rebalanced a little too hard for most people and became a side note in the world of shotguns, mastery fodder for most people. However, with the introduction of the Scattered Justice, I feel that it's been rightly restored to its proper position as king of the shotguns. As always guys, many thanks for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe, it helps me out a ton. And I shall see you in the next episode.